Thank you, people. This is FME Attention Undivided. I am your humble host. Uh, I am the human Tom Selleck mustache of an individual, Dano, and I appreciate everybody being here to tune in. I am so lucky to have one of the most interesting, inventive people in uh, in music right now in the underground, because it fielded from Backwoodz Studioz is join me, uh, and there's so many questions. Uh, I would say the interesting part is I feel like a lot of your audience may at this point, and you correct me if I'm wrong, might be people who love Armand Hammer, Lucid, Woods, and then like kind of come to you, and you're the R&B in their playlist.
I'm something like R&B. I don't know if I'm like I don't know what I am at this point. I don't even know what to tell people my genre.
That's
Like
a big thing, and I think that's one of the really cool things about listening to a lot of your music was understanding how much this was. Um, because you do so many things, but I'm kind of the opposite. So I I love Elucid, love Woods, but I'm an R&B guy through and through. Like to the core. My favorite album of all time is Just As I Am by Bill Withers. I am
nice.
that is my safe place. So when I heard Young Medusa, I was very excited because in my mind, that is Quiet Storm R&B. You can put that on with Smokey and Anita Baker and mix it together, and it's going to sound like it makes sense. Uh,
Yeah, that's funny. Dave and I, who my friend David Lochner, who produced Demisexual Lovelace, which is my album before Young Medusa. We were like all about Quiet Storm. We were like, it needs to be like a Quiet Storm vibe, like and I think just naturally writing with him, it's like it's always going to be there. Like I basically with the album with Young Medusa, with Demisexual Lovelace, like I wrote most of the songs on the piano, and I wrote two songs vocally, and then Dave found the voicings for those songs. And those songs felt really successful. And so with Young Medusa, we decided to do that, but like do the whole album like that. So I wrote everything vocally, like everything was a cappella.
yep.
And Dave found the voicings to all the songs. So I think it gives it like this really natural, like the way the songs move feels really in to me feels really natural because it's the way like my mind moves,
Yep.
but I think it takes the songs to like interesting. I mean, like there's some more poppy songs, that I think are just like standard pop,
Yep.
like verse, chorus, bridge,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
But some of the songs I think move with their own, like just in their own world. So I was really happy with the like way the songs came out for sure.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot of talk about your team is incredibly interesting, right? Lochner
Mhm.
is with you, and Willie Green is
Yeah,
a very big part of the process. And
huge.
so there's a mix where like there are songs on this. I was listening to Not That Deep, and I was like, you know what? Like, I think Royce the 5'9" could spit over this. Like, this is a hard beat. Like, this is
Yeah, I
yeah,
love that beat. I love that beat and that bass line a lot. Like Adrian Knight did all the bass on the album. And he's just so, I mean, it's cool too, because like everybody has this incredibly different background. Like Dave and I think Dave and Willie Green are a little more aligned. Dave's more of a jazz guy. Green is, more of a hip hop guy, but they kind of cross paths a little bit. I'm just like all over the place with my influences, like anything that catches my ear kind of person. And Adrian comes from, he's essentially like done mostly, I feel like jazz and classical. So, and then loves like country. Like we just had such an interesting mix of like people playing on the album. Like it was just, and we're gonna do like I want to do it again because I think we kind of like cracked I was like, this is a really fun team of people. So like I want to do it again. I want to make another EP and do it kind of more like better this time, like in the way that we approach it.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, to apologize, on first listen of Demisexual Lovelace, I had the wrong impression, right? I thought, because there was a wave of like rock bands converting to R&B bands,
Right.
because it was cheaper to make and it got higher scores, like, with reviewers, and it was just kind of a more popular genre at the time. And I was like, oh, this is like that, but really digging in, and especially listening to a lot of the features that you've done, right? Like your work on Small Bills, your work on the Brass, and that amazing song on the Steel Tuck Dove album with Pink Sifu and Fat Tony. You really have an ability to fit wherever you need to fit in a song.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know about this rock bands converting to R&B thing. That's funny. No, I mean I feel like the stuff I made before Demisexual Lovelace, like Drip Drip, is an out like completely self-produced and like very much like a pop forward, like pop sensibilities, big voice, like I'm kind of like using my voice to its extremes. And I think with just in the time between Drip Drip and Demisexual Lovelace, like my writing got a lot more intimate, so there's like an intimacy on Demisexual Lovelace that I found, I think that isn't in necessarily in some of my past work because it's all self-produced. Like and when I'm producing, there's just so much to think about when you're self-produced. You're thinking about your beats, you're thinking about your arrangements, you're thinking about your voice, the mixes. And it's like it's hard to capture a complete, I don't know. I think some people are really successful at self-producing, but I don't think I'm one of those people. I mean, I think I can do it. And it's like here, Drip Drip sort of like my business card. Like, here's what I can do by myself. Like, there you go. But I think I got really like tired of self-producing because I'm just more, I just want to be a song. I like really want to write songs. I really want to think about melodies. I want to think about harmonies. And like, that's where I'm at. And so when I asked Dave to produce Demisexual Lovelace, it was like, yeah, it naturally went more in a jazz R&B direction because like that's his background.
Right.
And the songs allowed him to go there. But yeah, I'm just all about like other people producing at this moment. I mean, I always have a big mouth and I'm always going to have a lot to say. Like, I'm never going to step back and be like, yeah, just like produce it the way you want. Like, that's never going to be me. Right. But I definitely like am happy to like send a song to Green and be like, yeah, do your thing, and like get a beat back and be like, I have to say like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, this is sick. And then like every once in a while, I'm like, maybe it could be like a little more like that, like we always find our ground though. Like he is incredibly intuitive. Mm-hmm. And everybody who I work with right now is just like an insanely intuitive musician who like, basically, because with me, like, I don't write music. Like, I don't know how to read and write music. So there's a lot with me that like, you have to kind of be intuitive about. Like, you have to kind of read my mind sometimes. And I think it can be really annoying for some musicians who are a little more like straightforward. But with Green and with Dave and with Adrian, it's like they're really good at like reading my mind because I can't always articulate like exactly what I want something to sound like. But when I hear it, I know it's it. Like, I know that's it. So.
Yep. And to your point with the self-producing versus the team, it is weird. It can be weird and lonely to be trapped with the project by yourself for a long period of time. And like you get that like stranded in the desert. Am I seeing things? Is this good as I think thing? It's so
Oh my
much cooler and more fun to have a team of really talented people and like bring in the, bring in ideas and bring in people that, can influence it. So
yeah, it's so much more fun. And I'm having the urge to self-produce again. Like I make beats and I make like tracks um for other people sometimes. And everybody's always like, "Oh, you got to make your beat tape." And I'm like, "I don't know." Like I'm just in like a world of people who are so fucking good at producing that I'm just like, I mean, whatever. Like it would mostly just be for me. But I am having the urge like I'm like, "Ooh, I want to make another self-produced album again." Like
right.
um I don't know. Like, I don't know what that would look like. It would probably take me a really long time because I'd want to do it really differently. But
Yeah.
I've just been having the urge again. So,
Yeah. No, it's and with all this creative stuff, I think we talked about it sometime. One of the weirdest things about being a creative person is you put out stuff and then you get better and then you look back and you're like, oh, that stuff was not as good as where I am now. And like you're always in that process of embarrassing
mhm.
yourself slightly with the growth.
Oh
And
my God.
it's so strange, such a strange situation. So my first time I wrote a book, it took me like a year or 15 months. And then I wrote the second book immediately just to relax and do it completely differently than the book. And it took me 6, 9 months. It was done,
Right.
because I'd done it all and I'd run into the roadblocks and I knew how to work through the situation. So I'm
Yeah.
sure.
You just want to keep making something. I mean, for me, it's like I want to make something that I want to listen to. And I'm an extremely critical person. I'm extremely critical of myself. So if I hear a song of my own and I'm like, I can fuck with that, like I know I'm making progress because like I definitely make albums and then I'm like, oh God, I never want to hear those songs again, like and like I use them, I like listen to them to practice, for live show. I love playing live. Like that's probably my favorite thing ever is to play live. So um whatever song it is. Like the songs have different life live, and there's some songs I would never want to do live, but mostly every song I've made in the past like 3 years, I would say like I would definitely fuck with it live.
Oh, no, it's
But
different.
yeah.
No, you've been on a run. I mean, it's been awesome. And so yes, that was my description of that with the R&B and the demisexual Lovelace was the first listen. The first listen is never where I know what I'm talking about. So the the
Same, actually. I would say the same with me.
I don't trust anybody who's like my first listen is like I'm like I don't know. You got to dig deep into it. The when I dug into demisexual Lovelace, I was I was absolutely gripped by how personal those songs are. Intensely personal. I was thinking of Everybody's Somebody's Fool while I was thinking about the question, but what was the hardest song to write uh, on Lovelace?
I mean, it's hard to say because the way I write, it's so like, and sometimes it's just so rhythmic and it's so like shit just flow. Like with everybody, somebody's full and justice. Like those songs just really flowed vocally. Um, everybody, somebody's fool is probably like the most like graphically personal. Um, God, the hardest song to write on the album. That's a good question. Now I'm like switching modes. I don't know. I We really had a lot of fun with all the songs on that record. I'm trying to think of like the most challenging, like the ones we ran into the most like, oh, this is like not going where I want it to go. Like, um, it's hard to say. I think Talking to Myself, the first song, we had a lot of like roadblocks with that song. Um, I ended up, it actually started, it sounded completely different. Um, Green sent the beat, and the beat was like ended up being different than like it didn't really fit like vibe wise what we had done with it
Mhm.
up to that point. And so I ended up just like taking the song and like chopping it up and doing a bunch of sampling stuff. I just like went in on like, I just spent one night just like chopping it up and like putting in samples and like cutting up samples and like putting in a choir. And like, I just like did all this shit and like sent it back to him and Dave and was like, okay, I think this works with the beat now. And they were both like, whoa, this is a completely different song, but I fuck with it. So like that one was probably for me the most, and like, it's interesting. It's like the one, I think when I released it, I was like, oh, it's funny because it's the first song, but I was like, I don't know about talking to myself. And now that's like, it's funny because like my band, the live band that I have, they're always like, oh, we should do talking to myself. It's so intimate. It's like so sweet. And like that's the one they want to play like live. And it's so
Yep.
funny to me. Cause I'm like, damn, like it's always like, it's always the songs that you're like, I don't know. The people are like, dude, I love that song. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I almost cut it off the album, dude. Like,
Always. Yeah. No, that's always. And what you brought a great point. The personal songs aren't even the hard ones to write because they're so personal, they're so vivid that they flow out of you, as you said, and it's there. And like I've talked to some people today this year about their craziest personal song. They're like, it was done in 15 minutes, or whatever.
right.
Um, and that's like a real thing. But the thing is, when you perform it, if it's that powerful, it can really take you to that place. And that's like a responsibility you're going to have for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like there's songs that I perform. It's just so interesting to me. It's like, yeah, I'm not in that place anymore.
Mhm.
Um, but you feel it as you're performing it, or I guess for me, it's like I it's funny to be on Backwoodz, to be honest. Like I have to like laugh about it a little bit because um I think it's okay to laugh about it a little bit, I guess I should say, is because it's not like it doesn't make like perfect sense. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
when Woods was like, I want to put your record out, I was like, are you sure, dude? Like I was like, it's kind of
That's
like
awesome. That's
but I
so
was also like, whatever. Like, no one else is asking to put my records out. Like, fuck yeah, and also I like Woods so much that I was like, yeah, and they're so transparent with like their quarterly reports, like everything about them is like so like not at all the labels experience they've had in the past.
good.
So like that in and of itself is so great, but like, it's like an interesting fit. So, but it's like I feel like what's funny about it to me, I guess. And of course there's like female fans
Yeah. Yeah.
of Backwoodz, but like, there's kind of more of like an overwhelming male fandom of Backwoodz. It's just like I feel like my songs are so feminine. Like I feel like they're like when I play them live, it's like I feel them connect, like I feel connected to like the women in the audience or like non-binary people in the audience or like people just who have a sense, sort of that like sixth sensibility, and not to say men aren't sensitive, but like it's just like I feel so it's always interesting to me when like men are like, oh, I feel so connected to, like I especially feel like Young Medusa is like very feminine. So
Such
it's
a,
interesting to
I
me
love
that like men are just like, oh, I'm super into it. I'm like, cool. Like like I'm so curious as to, I guess I'm asking you a question. Like I'm so curious as
it.
to what like you feel connected to in it.
So let's get into this. I can go and I can go poetic on this. The sequencing of Damaged to Demonology to Not That Deep is the heart of the project. I absolutely love it. It's for me. Um, and I'm going to talk to you about the process of sequencing, but I think Damaged is so beautiful. And then Demonology is a tone switch and it's faster, but lyrically it's kind of about like the rush of love and fascination between people, right? That moment where you become interested in someone and you fully engage. Um, and then Not That Deep is kind of the come down of that, of like, no, it's not as real as you thought it was. We had a moment, but it's not like that.
Right.
And so there's a real journey there. Like there's a real emotional journey. Uh, Backwoodz is like I feel like the reputation of Backwoodz is like political revolutionary ferocity in a way, like it being connected to uh, the pain of other people and really like you know
Right.
trying to make a difference. And you are like the very emotional heart of the Backwoodz catalog in that sense because you can be very like demonology vividly puts you in the moment of that, but you can also be very blunt in really cool ways. There was this line of I'm going to butcher it, but it's like I've been on one. I'm pissing in the wind sometimes,
Oh yeah. I'm
and I
always
think
feel like I'm pissing in the wind all the time.
is that
I
what
mean,
it is?
sometimes you I
Why
think
is
that's that
that?
song for me. Goodness gracious is just about like
Oh,
you just like for me personally, it's just like, oh my God, like living in New York sometimes. Like I love New York, but it's just like your neighbors are super nosy, like your fucking car gets a ticket, like you get like 3 speeding tickets in the mail, like you fucking owe rent, you're like
right.
waiting for someone to pay you. You're like, yeah, I'm like, for me, I'm like driving around the city doing my job. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, like there's just so much bullshit, like
Yep.
dating all the wrong people. Like that's like a lot of like, I feel like a lot of what my songs are about is just like it's like this craving, like this deep human connection that I do find with my family and my friends, but like just this like god damn like red flags everywhere. So yeah, like it's for me that goodness gracious is just like, you know what, like maybe I'll figure it out one day, but for now like I just gotta hold on and just like hope I don't fucking fall over. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, it's one of the things that's cool about Young Medusa is it doesn't have like a trauma point anchoring it, right? It's not like this is about the death of my dog. Like this is
Right.
not it's just living. It's like a living, breathing thing, uh, and you go through the emotional journey of it. But yeah, I would describe it as your music is boldly emotional, and
Yeah.
I think that's like a lot of the people maybe listening to Backwoodz like sneak that in and enjoy it. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's hard. I mean, I would say that other projects on Backwoods are definitely also boldly emotional, but I get like I think, yeah, I would say blunt. Yeah, blunt is a good word. I feel like I am a little more like blunt than maybe than I'm yeah, than others. um but yeah, I that's kind of I don't know. I can't I'm a boldly emotional person in my day-to-day life. So there's no changing that in my music. Like I am definitely super connected to who I am as a musician. There's no like off switch. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, no, and honestly, there were like I I I totally understand why Woods would be keyed in like that because I it was one of the things that floored me about listening to Haram was how emotional Woods' verses are all through
Yeah,
Haram. That he is like connecting to real moments with real people and talking about the feelings he felt.
for
And I was
sure.
like, lyricists at his level just don't do this. Like they kind of keep being the Superman that their audience wants them to be.
Yeah,
Uh,
he is I mean, he's a very emotional person. I would not out like in a unhinged way. He's just like he is an emotional guy. Like he's very connected to his emotions. So and I think it's funny because when I met him, like I wrote to Armand Hammer, like this is how it all started. Was like I wrote and I just write to people when I like their music. Like
sure.
it's something I do. I never hear back from people. Like literally, like every once in a while, I get an email that's like, "Thank you" with like a thumbs up, and I'm just like, I just wrote to them and I was like, "You guys, like, I didn't like I just heard your music. Like I've been listening to it like for a couple weeks now. Like it's blowing my mind. Like I just want to let you know if you ever need a vocalist, like let me know because I would be like so stoked to sing on one of your tracks." And Woods wrote me back and he like pretty quickly. And he was basically, I felt like the tone of his email was like, who are you? Like, how did you hear about us?
Yep.
And I was like, I don't know. I'm just like a fan. And here's my project. I sent my music and I was like, here's what I just did. And he was like, oh, cool. Armin Tammer isn't doing anything, but like I'm doing a solo album. Would you want to maybe do a song together? And I was like, yeah, totally. And he like sent me Western Education. And I was like, yeah, I can fuck with this. Just give me a few days. And then we like talked on the phone. And so my initial impression of him when I talked to him on the phone is I was like, this man is so smart. Like I was just like, I was just like, this dude is using word. Like at moments I was like, what does that word mean? Like I was literally like, this dude is like, I don't know if he was like flexing or whatever, but like, no, he's not. Cause that's how he is all the time. Like he's just an incredibly intelligent person. And so my initial like vibe of Woods was like, oh, he's all head. He's super heady. He's
Right.
like all intelligence. But actually he's a very deeply emotional person, and getting to know him over the years, like extremely connected to his emotions, extremely like lucid about like what how his emotions translate to like the real world. Like it's very, I've definitely had like my moments where I'm freaking out because like I can be all over the place emotionally, and he'll be like, here's how I see it, like this and X and Y and Z. And like he's just like he doesn't like judge me. He doesn't say like you're being too emotional. He's just like, let's figure this out. Like here's how it would rationally look, so the guy definitely has like he's in a place in his life, I think, where you just, if you don't have a grip on your emotions, I would worry for that person. But like I'm still like figuring my shit out. I hope to be at that place.
Yeah.
Eventually.
No, it's
But
he's awesome. The thing I wasn't ready for in meeting Woods was that his voice is his voice. Like I thought that was a rap voice, but he like was just asking where Dave was or something, and I was like, "That's Billy Woods. What's going on?" It was
yeah, he really projects. Like he fills up a room for sure.
yep.
Yeah. I love both those guys so much. Such good dudes. And I appreciate them for taking me. I mean, dude, they like Woods didn't have to put my record out. Like they don't have to ask me to play these shows. Like they didn't have to ask me to play Central Park. Like they have no obligation to me. Like I'm new. I'm like a new member of Backwoodz, but it's just like it just makes me feel so good knowing that they truly fuck with me. Like they really respect what I do, even though like for the most part it's really different than, like what everybody's hearing on Backwoodz. And so I just really appreciate it. Like I appreciate that shot, and
Yep. And I think Woods said something really fascinating on a podcast where he said, if someone's going to be on my label, it has to be a mixture of how talented they are and how easy they are to work with. That it has to be both of those things together, like because I can't, I can't do it otherwise.
yeah, I mean, I think I can, I think sometimes I'm like, just knowing like my, whatever. I have like, I don't know, as a woman in the industry,
Right.
I'll just say it is a challenge. There are real challenges about it. Being in the music industry, period, it's just like it feels sometimes like you're tripping, you're just like, there are just things that happen that you're like, am I making that up? Like, am I being insecure? Or
Right.
is this actually like a thing that's happening? And you're kind of like, I just feel like for me, I am moving through the industry that way all the time. Like I just like sometimes I don't know. I'm like, is it sexism? Is it this person just doesn't fuck with my music? Is it ageism? Is it, I'm like, it's just always tripping me up because I'm just like, I'm just always looking for like the root of the problem. And really it's just like, I think it's just this random industry where like, who the fuck knows what's about to happen? Who fucking knows who's about to pop off?
Right.
it's just so, but anyway, I just like I think sometimes I do bring that energy to the label because I'm like, I have this like sense of urgency. Like I want to keep making, I want to be better, like I want to do better, I want to go to the next level. And I think sometimes I just hope that I'm mostly easy to work with. I just have had my moments where I've been like, we need to do more, like we need more. And he's like, we'll get there. Just like, just like, please calm, not like calm down, but like, just like you know, you're kind of, I just like, it's like, I don't, I can't, you know how it is. Like, you can't
Yeah.
always see where you're actually at. It's just that, you know.
No, and it over time you gain the skills to practicalize moments, right? And like
Yeah.
do that. I think I was thinking about job interviews, right? When I was younger, job interviews were like an epic thing. It was like a thing, a test of who I was or something. And as I grew older, I realized I'm like, no, that guy just needs to fill a hole. Like he just needs to fill a hole, and I need to prove I can fill the hole, right?
Yeah.
And so that's it. You know, and if I can do that, then I'm good. But no, you have a unique situation because you're not amongst peers who do what you do.
Yeah, it's strange, you know. And I have to say, I reach out to people who I'm like, we definitely vibe in this, like our music vibes. And I gotta say, it's been a little hard connecting with similar artists. And I know everybody's really busy, and I don't really know what it is. I think everybody's just trying so hard to like make it in their own lane, you know? And I am like, I just come from a background of like deep collaboration. Like I have like the project I just did in Miami is this project. I work with this woman named Nama Sabar,
Yep.
and she's a sculptor. She makes musical sculptures, which it is way cooler than that sounds.
That's
Basically,
awesome.
they're beautiful and gorgeous.
Yep.
And then we like me and set like a bunch of other people like compose whole albums on them. Like we literally just made an album.
That's incredible.
And yeah, it's fucking dope. And like honestly, if it like, and it's I kind of the one thing musically in my life that I can just be like confidently be like, it is fucking sick. Like, and if you saw it, it would blow your mind. You'd be like, what the fuck is going on? This is so wild. Um, but that's the background I come from, is like this collaborating with women, like every, you know, the pandemic, we didn't have a lot, but we've been all over the world together. Like we've done all these projects with all these different people, with all these different women, non-binary people.
Yep.
And so it's so weird to switch gear. Like so I'm in this like super collaborative, like super supportive, like love zone. And
Yep.
it's so hard sometimes to switch gears back into the music industry, where it sometimes feels like, damn, am I supposed to feel like I'm competing with you? Or like, because I don't want to be competing with you.
No.
I think we can coexist. That's just my mindset. It's like, there's no competition. We can coexist. But like, I think sometimes women or just like marginalized artists in the industry can feel like I need to compete because there's only so much space for people like me. And that is what we're taught. Like that is what we're taught we should think, because it makes it easier on the industry itself.
Right.
And it's like, it means so much more when people are like, yeah, I fuck with you, I support you, and you support me. Like, let's fucking support each other. Like,
Yep.
I really only fuck with people that like I'm not gonna kiss anybody's ass. I'm not gonna like try to make somebody like me who like comes off as like not really fucking with me. Like if someone is like genuinely warm and like really truly like, it just fucks with my music and I fuck with their music, and they're a funny, cool, chill person. It's kind of like what Wood said. It's like,
Right.
yeah, you want to collaborate with people who are easy to work with. You want to be friends with people who are, you know, you want to be friends with people in the industry who are really like lovely to be friends with. So it's like, it's kind of that situation. But I'm still always reaching out to people and being like, hey, I really fuck with what you do. Like, this is so sick. And like I said, it's like very rare that I hear back. But again, you don't know how busy someone is, or sometimes you get those rare emails back where somebody's like, oh, I just like, after a while, they're like, I just heard your music on, like, it's really rad. Like, it's just, I think people are just like, I don't know who you are. I'm not gonna, like, I'm so busy. And then like all of a sudden you're on their radar and they're like, hey, actually, you know.
Yep. No, it was for me, like running this site, there's like a balance of I always want to be sending out requests for interviews for people who I think I could get and talk to. But I also want to be sending out requests to people there's no way who are going to talk to me. Just to
Yeah.
get that muscle memory down to be like, it's okay.
You
You know?
never know. Like, honestly, yeah, like there's people I've reached out to who would never expect to ever get back to me, and like I have like memorable moments of being like, wow, thank you so much for writing me back, like you're fucking awesome, like and then it makes me think like like mental note, like that person is fucking awesome, like they are not only like an amazing talented artist, but they're like a kind wonderful person who took the time to like write me back and be like, thank you so much, like I listened to your album, it was awesome, like even like it's just like that is so nice. Like wow, like I don't know.
The little
Like,
interactions are important, very important.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you feel less alone. Like, like being on Backwoodz makes me feel less alone. Playing shows, certain artists makes me feel less alone. It's like whatever you can do to feel like you're a part of something. I think I'm just somebody who really likes to feel like they're a part of something.
Yep. I was gonna say that the writing on Young Medusa has so much balance. When the characters are introduced, the pictures painted aren't extreme. Everybody kind of gets their moment to be human. Uh, Not all the songs are happy, but they have happy parts, frustrated parts. The writing from that place takes discipline because it means that you don't like accept just being done on the easy singular dimension. You're kind of flushing it out. And you said that your writing has changed from Lovelace to Medusa. How would you characterize that change?
I think I got more comfortable writing more intimately. Like I, I think on past projects, when Fielded started, it was to take the long route, sorry.
Okay.
When Fielded started, it was like I, I I would consider myself an electronic producer first and foremost. And it was just like, to be honest, when it started, it was like a noise project. It was like a very weird, like vocally based noise project.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, I was living in Chicago. I was part of the underground music scene there. And I wanted something I was like in a band with my boyfriend at the time, who was a very controlling, intense person. And I was like, I need my own thing. Like, I was just like, I need to start my own project because, like, I just had these men in my ear being like, do this differently, play it this way, play it that way, record it this way. And I was like, fucking everything's going to be my way. I'm doing everything my way.
Yeah.
And so it was just really experimental at first. Like it was a lot about songwriting, but I had a lot of dark shit I was working out in my early 20s. Like there was just a lot of heavy stuff. So the music was really heavy. And moving into my like late 20s as I was writing, it got a little more poppy. There was still some distance there though, because I think I was still working that shit out and I wasn't ready to be like, I don't know, like I was like still pointing my finger, like not that trauma's not real and like people
Right.
don't fuck with you, but like I wasn't ready to be like, oh shit, like, okay, it's a two-way street. Like that person hurt me, but like, oh, look at all these ways that I contributed to that or like facilitated that or like,
Yeah.
just codependency is a bitch. So I think like moving from project to project, it's just like I think on Drip Drip, I felt like I was screaming. Like I literally felt like I was screaming my vocals. Like I don't know how to describe it. Maybe that doesn't make any sense, but like
Mhm.
I just felt like I was like, here is my voice. This is my voice. Like listen to my voice. I'm gonna be loud because I need you to listen to me. And then I was like, I remember finishing that album and being like, God, I don't even want to sing any of those songs live. There's like one song I do live called Baby
Awesome.
Boys. I'm very into that song.
Yep.
But everything else I'm just like, oh no, you guys don't have to listen to that album. But I between Drip Drip and Demisexual Lovelace, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to like scream my feelings anymore. I
Yep.
just want to like talk. I just want to like talk it out. I want to be quiet. I just want to be quiet. And so on Demisexual Lovelace, it was like my first experience of writing these like quieter, more interior, like also, it's just also the relationships I had gone through at that point. I had been in a relationship that really fucked with my world. And like, it was the first time that I was like, oh, whoa, I can do wrong to another person. It was just like, it just had this relationship that really hit hard. And then, and so it was just like my experimentation with going more, being more introverted almost. And then with Young Medusa, it just felt like, okay, well, now this is where I'm writing. Like, and I'm writing from a place that's really intimate, and like I don't have to scream, and I don't, like and a lot of like my features, I think, allowed me to explore that territory too.
Right.
Like singing on these tracks that were, the beats are more intimate than the beats I make, my personal beats. So I was like, I could be a little quieter. I could be a little smoother. I could like, I almost felt like I learned where my natural voice was. It's so weird because it's like so many vocalists, like I think, learn their natural voice so early, but I think I was using it so differently for so many years. And I really found my natural voice, like in between Drip Drip and Demisexual Lovelace. I was like, oh, this is way more comfortable. Like it's
Yep.
way more comfortable to just like sing in this like specific soulful way versus like this loud, like full, like, oh, nothing wrong with the belting diva, but like, but I was like, that's not me. That's not actually me. Like this quieter, like more emotional, like the subtle vocal movements, like that felt more comfortable. So I think it was a lot to do too with coming into my voice, like um at a later stage in my life. Our voices are always changing, like
Yep.
everybody's,
Yep.
but just like being in a different place in my life. It's just, being
That makes
more,
sense. The additives changed, right? Your life had changed, your voice had changed, and so your writing naturally went along for that journey.
yeah. And like, a lot more therapy, like just kind of being a little more self-aware too. I'm just right. I feel like for me, it's like important to like write from a place that's self-aware, and like, sometimes I get a little insecure about like my songs being like too poppy, like, or too like, and I'm like, I have to kind of like step away, whatever. I have to step away from being self-critical like a lot, um but I'm kind of embracing this place of like, I feel like on Demisexual Lovelace, I was like almost like trying to not be, I was like, I don't want to be as accessible. I want to be less accessible. Like I want to go weird. I want to get really weird. And then
Yep.
on Young Medusa, I kind of stepped back into being like, okay, I'm willing to be more accessible. And I'm always on the fence about that. I'm always like, ugh, like being
Mhm.
accessible, like, ugh,
Hard.
being like
Yeah.
poppy. But like, but whatever, people fucking connect to it, and like, you know, seem to be into it like so far. So I don't know,
No,
I always want like, I just come from a noise background. I'm like, the weirder the better. And everybody's like, you kind of love pop music. And I'm like, you're right.
you have to admit to yourself what you actually like. Yeah, it's a big wrestling match. So you've been releasing music on Bandcamp since 2013. How did Lovelace change your trajectory? Was that was must have been your biggest rush of new fans, right? Was that
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, because Drip Drip came out on Death Bomb Arc, and it did okay. I mean, it didn't do great. Like it, I don't think anybody, I met people on the label that I fucked with. Like They Hate Change. I was like, oh my God, they're fucking amazing. And JPEG Mafia obviously had been on that label. Who else did I connect with? SB the More. Um, so I met people through the label that I was like, whoa, you're fucking awesome. Let's collab, like let's do something together. Um, and um, and then Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't even, man, it's like such a blur, like recording that album. I think I just had all these songs that I had written and I didn't really know what to do with them, and I just trusted Dave with them. And yeah, we did that. We did a vinyl, which was a big deal for me because I haven't done a vinyl in a long time. And and I had Backwoodz supporting it, and it seemed like a lot of people really like, in sending it out, like people seemed to fuck with it. I mean, not everybody fucked with it, but a lot of people were into it. And I definitely felt really vulnerable releasing that album because it was just such a different stroke for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just felt, I felt like in all in one, like I was finally releasing something that felt like it was like my voice, and it was very true to who I was, but I was also like, oh fuck, like what if nobody likes this, or whatever, all the things you think when you release an album, you know. So yeah, sorry, what was the question? It was a big
No, it was the
you're
question
asking.
was because it's weird when it comes to Lovelace. Like, I'm actually more interested in how it was after you released it than before, because you're releasing this highly intensely intimate like music as a woman on the most ferocious kind of number one underground rap label, and like you're putting it into this fan base that's entirely different. And now, but like all the major outlets are now listening to you because you're on Backwoodz and they're listening to everything on Backwoodz. It must have been
Yeah,
a cool trip.
it is interesting. It's like, it's so cute. It's like cute to me, and as cute is just the word that comes to mind. These like, a lot of the dudes who just like fuck with everything on Backwoodz like gave it such a chance, and like it's just so fun to hear these like like oh my god, I love hearing from women who like are appreciate or just feel connected to it. I like non-binary people who feel connected to it,
Yep.
especially everybody's somebody's fool. It's like about codependency, like people who are like, dude, I've been there.
Yep.
But like to hear like dude, like these kind of like heady rap dudes go
Yeah.
like, I fuck with this. It's like so cute. I'm like, dude, I want to know like what your experience of listening to this record was. Like, were you initially like, what the fuck is this? And then you're like, well, Woods fucks with it. So, like, I don't know. Like, it's just super cute to think about people like sitting down with it and being like, I'm going to give this a chance because it's on Backwoodz, like
Yep.
versus like, if it was on some random other label, like they probably wouldn't have never even known it came out.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so it is like an interesting mix of fans. Like, I think in some ways there are people I wish that my music was reaching that unfortunately like are not aware of Backwoodz, or like Backwoodz isn't on their radar because they're not hip hop fans.
Yep.
And because it is like, it's still indie music. Like I mean,
Right.
I kind of hate that term, but it's like that, it's kind of like what it is. So
Right.
I don't know. It's just such an interesting, I definitely like, I think I have a lot more fans who really are coming from a place of like, they're really open-minded about what I'm going to release next, no matter how it sounds, because it's always going to be a little different. Like that's just who I am.
Right.
But people who are really willing to go along for the journey and like find, like I just noticed like from what people say, that they're just like they're very into like the journey of the songwriting and all, like, and the harmonizing. Like they're very
Right.
into like the way the harmonies are sort of weird. So
Yep.
it's like, I just think if you fuck with Fielded, you fuck with like weird harmonies, and you fuck with like some kind of interesting songwriting, and like everything but beyond that, it's like, who knows what's going to happen. Like it's going to be a different kind of game every time.
Yep. Yep.
But which has maybe worked to my, it's been a disadvantage in the like, in some ways it's probably like, because I'm not consistent, like that in some ways, like I think a lot of labels want the predictability. So they're like, well, I can rely on my artists to release this again and again and again. And I think Backwoodz was like willing to be, like, Woods is always like, oh, well, you always do everything different. So like, we'll see what this one's going to be like. And I love that he's so like willing to just let me do my thing, because it's not often that, Nama, who I work with in the art world, is the same way. She's just like, whatever you want to write, girl, like whatever you want to sing, like I love your lyrics. I love it's just so nice to have people who are just like, I'm like, damn, like that is a true like positive musical experience. Like to just have somebody be like, I love what you do, just do your thing, like it's gonna be awesome. Like
I love your position as like the emotional ventilation for like hardcore New York rap heads. I just think that's great. I think it would be like having like I'm picturing a street with like Burger Kings and Subways, and in the middle there's like a sock shack that makes custom socks that are completely unique. And you're just like, look, if you want Cool Mod D on your socks, you got to go there. You know, uh, it's just like you are the only person in these people's band camps that sounds like this, and that's cool. It's cool.
yeah, it is cool. I mean, it's definitely cool to be, amongst like I mean the win I guess I mean really like More Mother is probably the only other woman on Backwoodz, right?
Yep, yep.
And it's like amazing to be amongst that company. Like, holy shit. Um,
Yeah.
such a fan, but yeah, like it's an interesting position. It's like I definitely have, I mean, I have my moments where I can crack up about it a little bit. I think you got to laugh at yourself a little bit and laugh at the situation because it is, it's like I never in a million years would I have like predicted to be like on the label that I'm on and doing what I'm doing. It's like
Yep.
it's not like I didn't want it. Like definitely it was like, and it's not like it wasn't indicated in the path that I was on, but you just imagine things like so so differently for yourself, and then you end up in these places where you're
Right.
like, like it makes sense, but it's also like I can like chuckle about it a little bit because like I would have never predicted it.
Definitely. I totally understand. So other to get the other backwoods business out of the way, you are the last voice on my favorite album of 2021, um, Load Bearing Crow's Feet by Prem Rock.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love every inch of that album.
Yeah, the album's amazing.
How was it doing the song and then hearing the album and knowing?
Well, that song was interesting because it had been like there's another voice on there. So I was singing, I was essentially imitating this other voice, you know? Um, but yeah, I mean it's awesome. I mean, dude, Prim is super talented, and that album, like, again, like another, I think, very emotionally like balanced, like super heady, but like a uh very deep understanding of emotions, and like obviously super funny guy.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean that album, I'm super proud to be on that album too. Like, yeah, like everybody who's asked me to collaborate, um, that I've collaborated with thus far, like I'm extremely proud to be on those songs. Like,
Yeah. No,
um,
if on a
and
winter's night, it's just a perfect way to close that album.
yeah, it's a beautiful song. Yeah, I definitely fuck with it. And yeah, I guess I just like can't say nice enough stuff about all those guys. Like they're all so fucking talented.
And
And
he's another one much like Woods, where like I think I told because we reviewed it originally on my weekly State of the Game show. I just had all these Prem Rock lines that I pulled. I was just reading all of them, and I sent him the review, and he was like, "Oh, thank you, this is amazing." And I was like, "You've got a poet's heart, man, and I'm always going to be there for it."
for
Like,
sure, like even in his tweets, like it's a funny thing to say, but he's so articulate, dude. And
yep,
like he really does find ways to like introduce humor into like moments where it's just perfect. It's like a chef's kiss of like,
yep,
yes, like very good, dude. Very good. But yeah, it's definitely a poet's heart. I would say the same
yep,
thing. Just yeah, this very intimate. I do think it's like something that like comes with like the older you get, the more you're in touch with yourself, you're able to like gain perspective about your situation. You're a little more open to, you're like more okay with your flaws, and so you can lean into them a little bit, which allows you to write more deeply. I don't know, like
No, I think
we're
you're.
all kind of on that level,
And
like,
you start to inhabit other people more empathy wise and just understand their positions and be interested in how they are.
oh, definitely. Yeah, there, I would say he's definitely got that going on. And Woods definitely has that going on for sure. And um I mean, Lucid's writing, let's a whole other,
Oh,
that
oh,
guy.
I mean that was, and it was, I was the thing I was going to say with so me and my co-host of the show, Kay Diggy, we got to see Armand Hammer live and Shrapnel and all that.
Oh,
In
nice.
Massachusetts.
Oh, okay,
Massachusetts, yeah.
cool.
So it was really cool, and I had never seen two people, a rap group, interact the way Armand Hammer does.
Mm.
Because it's not like one of those old school like, high five, like we're in this together, bro. It's like a very different vibe, but it's just as warm in the sense that when Elucid was rapping, Billy Woods was on the other side of the stage, crouched down,
Dude, always. It's so funny.
staring at him like the kid staring at Babe Ruth at the game, just like totally admiring, like I can't believe I'm here with Elucid. And then that ends, and he's like a monster that takes over the stage.
Yeah.
It's I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, they're dude, I love playing with those guys, like singing live with those guys. Like we had a blast at the Knockdown Center show. Like it was just like just doing the Small Bill song. We did, I don't remember what song we did, but then doing, I love, and I always love doing Western Education with Woods. Like that song really, for me, like that's like the thing that's the song that started it all. And it's just like, but for me, it's just I just love singing that song with him. I love doing that song with him. And I think people really love hearing that song.
It's an amazing
Um,
song. It's an
it's like, yeah. Yeah, I just love his whole part. Like
Nope.
when he sent it to me initially, he was like, "Do you think you can fuck with this?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, like I can definitely fuck with this. Like this is sick."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, yeah, super deep guy. That's what I love about all those guys. It's just like, not like, it's just, they're so deep. They're so like, there's just no end to like the amount of stuff they can talk about. Like they're
Right.
just deeper and deeper and deeper. Like, and it's, like that's what appeals to me when I hear an artist is like lyrics that are just like very like intimate and interesting and like from all perspectives and like so deep and gripping and like
Yep.
poetic. And it's like it's really hard for me to like I mean, unless like it's a good beat or whatever, but it's hard for me to vibe with like anything less than that.
Yep.
I'm very particular, but I mean, it's what initiated my interest in them. Like, shit, dude, this is like it's insane, just so good,
I
so
think
good. And the production, like, damn.
and I think we've seen that like we've gotten so much good music out of like the underground that like we are starting to get like a higher bar for what impresses us. It is starting to just like change how we listen to this music. Um, and I wanted to shout out also like Elucid's voice is such an incredible weapon.
Yeah.
It's like I think he's my favorite chanter in rap.
Mm.
He's just so good at nailing a chant that becomes everything. Yeah.
I love when he sings. He sang on my record on Demisexual Lovelace. He sang on a couple songs, and I was just like, I was like, dude, I love your singing voice. Like it's so good. Like it's so deep and beautiful. But yeah, like I'm like, sorry, I don't always remember what song. I think it's called Sunshine. I'm like, what's the song called that I'm on? But I think Sunshine from Small
On
Bills.
Small Bills, the Sunchoke
Yeah.
is like the third track. I think you're on the first track too.
Yeah, Safe House.
Safe House, and Sunchoke. Yep.
I don't know if I did one more or not, but yeah, I love that record. I just like I can't. I'm like I have the worst memory, but But yeah, Sunchoke, we've done that live maybe once or twice, maybe once. And the next record I'm doing, I mean the next full length I'm doing is gonna be produced by Sound of Lasso, the guy who did Small Bills.
Yeah, Lasso. Yeah.
And yeah, he's dope. Like I love that guy. And like we have had, he like stayed at my house. Like we sort of knew each other and we were like, let's do a record together. And I was like, yeah, but we like didn't really know each other. And then he like stayed at my house for the Knockdown Center show. And we just like totally clicked.
Yep.
Like just like endless conversation, like totally like, you
I
know,
can
when
see
you
that.
get
I can
like
see that. That makes
lost
sense.
in just endless conversation loops with people. Another real one, like another deep, like very vibey, like heads there, but like heart is even bigger kind of guy. And so I'm now we're just like, so we like have so many ideas and he's like, we could do this, we could do it this way, we could do it this way. Like yeah, like let's do it all, dude. Like it's so who knows what's gonna like, who knows when it's gonna be finished, who knows what it's gonna sound like, but it's gonna be, so I think it's gonna be
I
good.
mean, Lasso is one of those people who like never wants to give you what you expect. That's just what
Oh yeah.
that is totally the modus operandi. Like I'm never going to give you what you asked for. I'm always going to give you some other stuff. And that makes sense for your noise background. Like that is, if you're a noise musician, that is where your heart is, right? You're trying to surprise people.
Yeah, I definitely, he's the same. He's got like, he listens to everything, so it's like a similar, you know, like he's kind of coming from a similar place. And like, and also the Midwest, like he's Detroit, like I guess he's from Tucson, right? But
Right.
Phoenix, Tucson. But like is spending time in Detroit, like he's got that Midwestern like fucking dance music thing going on. Like I like lived in Chicago for 6 years. Like I got super deep into dance music there. Like there's just like all that too happening. So yeah, my laptop's about to die and I don't have my power cord, so we might have to end. I don't know if you have more questions.
About that. No, I can't. We can just say, like, is there any? So we should talk Willie Green just a little bit. Just
yeah, for sure.
How does having Willie Green change the way your music sounds? What is
here? Let me grab the cable. Sure. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I'll be here.
Louder. I just like haven't unpacked my script yet.
Cool. Here.
Okay.
Yes.
Willie Green.
So Willie Green, just what does he bring to this? Because I can't, when I first was engaging with the Backwoodz stuff, I put it out there and said, I don't think Willie Green's a real person. It doesn't make sense that I think my theory was that Willie Green was like Homer, was like a collection of great mixing and mastering producers. There's no way he could be everywhere at once like this.
Dude, he's busy.
But and the fact that he can do your stuff and do prem rock stuff and do brass and just do it all so differently. What does he bring to that?
Oh my God, he brings everything. His mixing alone is like a style of production. Like he offers so like, I don't think I like knew what, I've never heard a record sound like one of my records sound amazing until like he mixed even Demisexual Lovelace, because he didn't record everything. He like still managed to make it like Dave and I recorded a lot of that like in a bedroom, you know?
Right.
And he just managed to make it sound so fucking good. And then working with him on Young Medusa, it's like I literally was like, I was like tripping when I heard my vocals, because I was like, I've never heard my vocals sound like this. Like it just so clean. And he was like, well, do you want it to be? I was like, he's like, do you like it? And I was like, yes, it's just tripping me up because it's just such a carbon copy of what my actual voice sounds like. And it was tripping me out. Like he's so good at what he does, you know? Yes. And, but yeah, nothing would be possible without Green. Like, I mean, that guy at this point, like, I'm like, I never want to make a beat again. Like, I mean, I do, but I'm like, I'm good with not making my own beats because like I know that his beats are gonna be fire. And um yeah, between him and Dave, I'm just like these two fucking guys. I love them so much. Like I mean, Green and I are also like buddies. So it's like so nice to have. I think for me, it's like if I'm working with somebody, I have to also be like friends with them.
Yes,
Um,
that makes sense.
I think some people are really good at collaborating and like don't have to be close with people, but like I gotta know a person and like feel a little like kinship. But yeah, I mean, dude, he's so good at what he does. I mean, yeah, everything he mixes just sounds it sounds amazing. I mean, and
Right.
you know, obviously masters it too. He's just like, yeah, I just can't say enough nice things about that guy. Like he's the best.
Yeah, it
I I like
must be like going from SD to HD or something with the music.
yeah. Well, and it's so cool when you know, to do Young Medusa with him from the ground up too. It just was such an enlightening experience. And it was also like enlightening in this way where I was just like, I didn't know. I was like, I'm a pretty annoying person to record vocally because I want to do like 25 takes. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, we can get it. We can get it. We can get it. And he's like, dude, we got it. Like he had it was like he was the voice of reason in a lot of situations where I was just like on Damaged, like that song was one of the more challenging songs to build.
Mhm.
And I had so many moments where I was like, I think I'm just gonna like take it off the record. And him and Dave were like, no, like because I just get in my own head about things. So like, and Green was just like, no, it's gonna be an amazing song. You just like have to be patient. Like I had never been like through the process of like being really patient with building a track, you know, like being
Yep.
like not knowing what was coming and now that's probably my favorite track on the record.
Oh,
And
yeah, Damaged is it's everything to me. I mean, I told you it time stops when that comes on for me.
yeah, and it's like a 5 minute long, it's a fucking long song. Like
Yeah.
but yeah, we actually performed it at Knockdown Center and I was just like I was a little worried. I was like, am I gonna hit those high notes? But no, it went great. And people were like, dude, that song. And I just yeah, it's a special track. But anyway, he's just like he is a great producer in that he's just like, no, he's like he lets me because I'm also very opinionated and he lets me be
Yep.
opinionated. Like, well, okay, how about this? Like he takes into account what I want and he's like, okay, well, how about we try it this way, you know?
Yep.
And yeah, very successful. I just feel like, and now that I know him better in that capacity, and I trust him, you know, because it takes me, I record all my own vocals.
Yep.
So for someone else to record my vocals, it's like a big deal.
Sure.
So there was definitely a moment where I was like a feral dog in the
Yeah,
studio,
yeah, yeah.
being like, I don't like it. Like, let's change it. Like, I was just like, so I could tell I was just like being so hard to work with. And like, I definitely like, it was like he gave me a bunch of treats. He like pet me, he fed
Yep.
me. And I was like, okay, let's do this. I can do this. I can record in a studio. Cause I had just like,
Yeah.
I had never recorded in that nice of a space. Like, I was
Right.
just like, what is this? Like, I'm used to like my sweaty ass home studio, you know?
Right. No, you like at first you were like, you can't touch the baby. My baby.
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, fine.
No, and now I'm like, it's our baby. Like with the next one, I'm like, so what are we doing, guys? Like, I'm like, let's all work on this together, you know? And so, yeah, we're coming up with the plan for the next one. I just started writing it. I'm like hoping to release like basically a second installment of that EP in the spring.
No, no, but it's you brought up something really incredibly important with the Willie Green description, which is like the most one of the most dangerous things for an artist that I don't think it's talked about enough is losing track of where the finish line is, right? Like if you lose track of where the finish line is, you can just never finish something or finish it the wrong way and you just end up going the wrong direction versus the right direction for yourself. And like knowing like this is done or we're going to build this way and it's going to be done and it's going to be good. Uh, there's something really blissfully reassuring about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. No, and his like his work alone is super awesome. Um, like the whole art show he did where he was translating like paintings into sound, like that, or like images into sound, like it. He's just super talented. Like he's on his own. He's on another level, and I think people know that.
Right.
I think um I don't think it like me saying it would like I'm not, it's just like it is what it is. Like he's just a supreme talent. I feel so lucky that I got to meet him through Woods. Like I just like and I feel so lucky that he wanted to work with me. Like I feel like,
Right.
like I respected him so much. And when he was like, "Oh, I can mix demisexual Lovelace," I was like, yes,
Yeah,
I
no,
was
that's
just
awesome.
so happy. Um and then when he was like, "Let's do a record together," I was like, "Oh my God." But yeah, he's such a so amazing. And yeah, it's so funny. Like it's like the first person that like I've worked with that my dad's like a sound guy, and
Wow.
he's like a musician, like so he's just like and he's also just like a really fucking like he's such a like Jersey tough guy and he's like so critical, and
Yep.
he's like every time I watch Willie Green's demos and stuff, like he's like he blows me away every time, and I'm like, all right, my dad's impressed, so
That's
so
great.
I guess it's
No, that's
good.
awesome. No, it
Yeah.
was before we started this. I was talking to my son, and I was like, he's 8 years old. And I was like,
Aw.
man, we got it. Like, I got a really important interview, really important lady. Uh, and he's like, who? I was like, you listen to her on the car all the time. And I put the headphones on him, and I played him. I was like high all the time or something. Um, and he was like, and I was like, what do you think? He's like, that's great.
Aw. I'll
So,
take it if a kid's groove into it. I'll take it. I think that's the best review you can get.
yeah,
The Green's kid, Clyde, he
yep.
sent me this video of Clyde dancing to Demonology, and he was like freaking out. I was like, this is the best review I could have gotten. Thank you. And that was the song. That was the song on that album where I was like, towards the end, I was like, I think I'm gonna take this song off. And him and Dave were like, no, it's awesome. And I was like, I don't know, you guys. And like that's the one that like the babies groove to. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's good. Good we left it on. Like the babies love that one.
It's so satisfying to be able to incorporate stuff from that world for your kids. Like there are people who don't shield the kids from it. I just think it's so fun to have my kid be like, that song you played, can you put that in the car? And it's like MC Longshot and Laserbeak. And I'm like, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's cool. But no, so did any specific song set the tone for what Medusa would grow into? Um,
Well, Land of Pines was the first one we did.
oh
Uh,
wow.
and that I was gonna trash that song. And then like Green heard it and he was like, I think we should use this song for the studio day that I have. And which was another amazing opportunity. And so we spent a whole studio day doing Land of Pines. And that set the tone for the record for sure. Just like that caliber of, okay, this is like a band record. Like this is like a very like, just like a more mature sound than Demisexual Lovelace. It's just
Right.
like it's a little more evolved in the production, in the songwriting, um, in the in the vocal quality. So yeah.
Yeah, it allows your voice to really like lead. There was like there's some criteria I think for like great stuff that is in this kind of quiet storm R&B genre. Composition is huge, but like vocal command is huge because
Yeah.
that's you're gonna live with that voice the whole time,
Yeah.
and I think that's important. So you did that with this. I was talking to somebody, and they were talking about being albums, right? Finding albums that you wanted this to sound in the vein of. Was there anything for Young Medusa that you were like, you know, were you
Uh
Anita Baker's
well,
Rapture is kind of my spirit animal or something? I don't know.
Not so much with this one. With Demisexual Lovelace, I had a lot of like, I was like listening to a lot of Janet Jackson. I was like, oh, like I had specific songs for specific songs. Like I was like, oh, I want this song. That I guess for this one, I was listening to a lot of like Shaka Khan, like Curtis Mayfield, like Damaged for me. Vocally moves a little bit like, just in my mind, like I'm not putting myself up there with Curtis Mayfield, but it kind of moves the way he moves his songs vocally. Like I was kind of inspired to find a way to move vocally like that, and like and kind of even in that like kind of falsetto vibes, like um but honestly, like everything was really like, I think that was the challenge with some of them, was that like Green and Dave would be like, what are you like, what are you thinking for this one? And I would just kind of describe something, and they were like, well, do you have any songs in mind? And I'd be like, no, I just kind of want it to feel like, I'm like one of those people who's like, I want it to feel like a sunset, and people are like, that's what I'm saying. Like, people got to learn to read my mind. Like, what the fuck does that mean? So with this one, like, honestly, not really. It was the first time actually I went into a project being like, whatever it is, it is. Like, I was like, no expectations of what the songs were about to sound like. I just was like, here's all these vocals, Dave, like, do your thing. We'll see how they end up sounding. I think I played Green some tracks, like, for goodness gracious. I think I just like, but nothing that was like, I want the whole vibe of the song. I was just like, I know the drums. I want the drums to sound a little bit like this, or I want, like, but no, I just let it be its own thing. Like, I was just really, I was thinking a lot about like great 70s songwriting, to be honest. And like, that for me is like, I think my main influence in all of my work all the time is like, just like like, think about a great album from the 70s, that like an R&B album from the 70s that you'd throw on, that where the songwriting just like meanders one into the other. Like, that's always what I want my albums to feel like. It's just like that there's this journey happening between the songs, and it feels good. Like, or at least that's what I've been trying to do on the last couple albums. So
Yeah, and I think with like the Curtis Mayfield is such an interesting touch point, because he had such swing in his voice, right? Where
yeah,
you go up and down, and you could hear it be like Stone Junkie, Stone, and it would go up and down. I'm a terrible singer, but
that was good though.
but like it was so that's a great touch point, and like just kind of wanting the superpowers from all these cool people, but not wanting to emulate.
Yeah, always. Like, I mean, people are always gonna say like, "Oh, you sound like Kate Bush," which like she is.
uh,
She's somebody I idol. I mean, I fucking idolize Kate Bush. I've loved her for many, many years. And like and like also Joni Mitchell is another person who I'm just like, as a songwriter, I'm like, oh my God, you're so incredible.
yep.
You're kind of a problematic person, but you're an amazing songwriter. And so those people, like, I've just embodied them. Like, I'm not saying I'm on their level, but like, because I've listened to them since I was a kid. Like I've just been, those were the two women in my life, like, and probably Janet Jackson as well. Just like from a young age, just like, I am obsessed with you. Like, you are amazing. I will listen to everything you ever do and think it's all amazing. Like, um so I kind of live in those worlds. Like, as a songwriter, I'm just like, yeah, there's some people that like, people are always going to be like, yo, dude, this like definitely, like, somebody was like, this album has Joni Mitchell vibes. And I was like, yeah, like, I can't help it at this point. Like,
It's awesome.
she's like one of my heroes, like, as a songwriter. Like, I damn, like, wow.
No, it's Prince. Like Prince is highly Joni Mitchell influenced, right?
Dude, and Prince is like somebody who we're Andy Blasso and I have been talking about Prince, like, on this
Yep.
album that we're doing together. We keep being like Prince, like coming back to Prince and being like Prince.
Yeah. I mean, because Prince had so many influences directly from that 60s generation, and I don't know, it kind of never got talked about, because I think they wanted him to be like the descendant of P Funk in that generation, but he
Yeah,
loved
but
he loved,
and
loved all that stuff. Yeah.
Prince loved Joni Mitchell. Like
Oh,
Prince and Joni Mitchell like had a relationship, like it's so interesting for me. I just like it's just the kind of moment where you're like real recognize real. Like he
yep.
heard her songwriting and was like, she's a fucking real one. And like and I don't know how Joni Mitchell felt about Prince. She probably hates everybody, to be honest. She just seems like that kind of person. But
Keith
like
Richards style. Yeah, that makes sense.
but but like I just feel like he was such a fan of like such strong women. Like
Yep.
I mean, there's like I've heard some Prince stories that I'm like, I know I don't want it to be true about him being like a little problematic with women, and I'm like, no, like not Prince. But
He was intense in relationships and very controlling and all that. But he was, he really believed in like the emotional core of the music, right?
yes,
He has this album called One Night Alone that's all piano.
yep,
Uh, and he has
yeah,
a version of My Case of You, which is unbelievable.
dude, incredible. Yes. I know that album. I love Prince. I'm a
Yeah.
um huge fan. I'm always discovering new stuff, which is exciting. Like because my love affair with Prince started probably in my like late 20s was when I was just like, oh my God, like how have I never listened to this,
Yep. Yep.
And so I'm always discovering, like I'll spend so much time with the record and then it's like, oh, now this record, now we're going here. And so that's really exciting to have those artists that you're like just starting to like, oh my God, wait, now I'm having this relationship with this artist and it's really exciting. And
Yep.
I think it was the same for me with Shaka Khan. Like it just happened later. And I think it just honestly started to happen. It's also when I start to be able to sing those people's songs. Like
Yep.
I wasn't in a place in my early 20s to be able to sing like a Prince song or a Shaka Khan song. And now I can like sing along and really vibe. And it's like, oh, it's like training for your voice. Like you're just like learning how to sing in this whole new like way. That's like really exciting.
That's incredible. No, yeah, I mean the run Shaka Khan had through the 70s and 80s, it's
Oh
unbelievable.
my God, I love her
Unbelievable.
so
Yeah,
much.
those belong to me. Well, so what I asked, I only asked this question to like people that I think will have really interesting answers to this. And usually the question is, what is your favorite non-hip hop album of the last 10 years? But being as you don't really have any allegiance to any genre in particular,
I really don't.
it's, I would just say, what is your favorite album? What of the last 10 years?
Last 10 years? Oh my God, that's such a hard question.
I could start by giving mine. I always start by giving mine and
Yeah,
letting
what's yours?
Fiona Apple, Idler Wheel, 2013.
Huh,
Yep.
interesting.
Yep.
Okay. The last 10 years. This is so hard for me because so much of what I listen to is older.
Yep.
Um, I don't want to hold you up by like not being able to answer this question.
No, it's
I
cool.
just wish I had thought about this all day.
No, me, the Idler Wheel, declaring that kind of helps you because that was the same year Channel Orange came out, and that was like that wave. And then you
So
get to
what was 10 years ago? What year is it? 2011. 10 years.
2011. Yep. Yep. Which is a hell of a year, by the way.
Shit, dude. I'm like, I don't know what any. God, I feel so basic
Yep.
saying
No,
this.
there's no way you would be described as basic. That would be fun.
Well, it feels a little bit like this was everybody's favorite album in the last 10 years. But I gotta say, and okay, I say this as somebody who doesn't listen to a lot of contemporary music, to
Sure.
be completely honest.
Yep.
A lot of the contemporary music I listen to is rap and hip hop.
Sure.
I and it takes a lot. Okay, it takes a lot to floor me in terms of my own genres. Like I'm just, and I'm so addicted to like the 70s and 80s and 90s, like as in terms of like musical explosions. But dude, I gotta say, okay, maybe two actually. I would have to look up the name of the first Serpent with Feet album that came out. Um, I can't remember the name of the album.
Would it,
It's on Wait, I can look it up.
Well, because he Serpent with Feet had the one Deacon this year.
Which is an amazing album, but
Such
my favorite
let me
shit,
pull.
it
I'm
might have even just been an EP. It was like maybe 2
pulling up
songs.
the Bandcamp right now to get into that. Yeah, the Apparition EP. No. Oh,
Uh,
Soil is the one with the suit. Yep, 2018.
I'm looking on Wikipedia.
Blisters from
Oh,
2016.
discography. You know what? Oh, I think it is. I think it is Soil. Yeah, on
Soil,
Triangle.
2018.
Yep.
Yep. That was the one that
That
really broke
album,
big.
yeah, that album and what he did before, what they did, but I think actually it's they did before that. I could be wrong about that, but it's always safer to say they when you don't know, I guess.
True.
Uh, that album for me was a heavy hitter. And then the thing that I feel so basic saying this is Frank Ocean's Blonde, man. That album is incredible.
Ooh.
And damn, and it's like a mainstream album, which is what I think blows my mind about it the most, is that it's so well mainstream success. He's just so fucking talented and like deserves every fucking thing that he gets, and like blows a lot of people away, and like just what a talent. And I think it's just a the way the record moves from top to bottom, it's just a beautiful um it's wonderful, and I think that's why so many people love it. It's just a super lovable album, and it is so deep.
That was 2016, and I remember that album as being the center point in my office of the debate, the drums debate, right? There were people who were just like, "This is brilliant," and there were people who were like, "There's no drums. I can't live here without drums," and it was so funny.
Dude, I thought about that. I was listening to again, I'm like terrible with song names, and like I can't even remember the songs that are called that I'm on. But like there was a song I was listening to his from that album, and it was literally like probably like my 17th time listening to it, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no drums on this song. And I was like, oh my God, I've never even thought about that because everything else about it is so compelling.
Yep.
And I'm an artist who's so obsessed with drums. I'm like, we can't make a track without drums, you know? Like even playing live, I'm like, we can't do that song without drums. No one will want to hear it, you know?
Nope.
And I'm just like, this person is doing this thing without drums, and I'm like scared to do something without drums live. Like that's insane. Like I need to just go for it. Like it was such an inspiring moment. So I'm like still having moments from that album where I'm like, oh shit, okay. Yes, I can do this. Frank Ocean did it. Like I can try it, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, and if you're working with the lasso, he's gonna throw you in all kinds of situations.
It's so funny. He was like, yo, he texted me the other day. He was like, yo, song with one instrument. And I was like, yes, let's do it. I was like, we'll fucking kill that. Like a song with like just a guitar. Oh my God. Like let's try it.
Just congas, let's go. You know, like
yeah. No, I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like, whatever you want to do, dude, let's do it. I'm ready to go.
That is awesome. I'm very excited that you are in this place where you get to be as weird as you want, because you have really flourished in the weirdest sonic environments, right? Brass, small bills. These are like really avant-garde, strange things.
I'm like a reed.
And you like, I was listening to your work on small bills. I'm like, she just kind of haunts these songs. Like she's just behind it like a ghost, like haunting the song. That's
how I want to be. That's always what I'm thinking, like a ghost, like just a haunting presence. Like I'm there, but I'm not there. Supporting the song, you know, like it's like for me with features, and I never want to be like, it's me, it's fielded, guys. I want to be like, what's the vibe of the song? Like, how can I support this track? Like, how can I make this like a great track for them? You know, like it's not about like making it my best feature, you know what I mean? So I mean, I always want to do my best, but I think sometimes doing your best is really supporting the project that you're contributing to versus like being like, this is the best way I could write this. You know, I think that's like kind of an intense approach. So
Yeah, no, there's a guy. So I'm in Maine, Agora, Maine, Portland, Maine, and there's a great artist, rock musician. I know Kyle. He's band's KG Freeze, and I was talking to him about it because he's a very controlling dude. He's known as the very controlling force with his music. And I was like, "How do you do that with features?" He's like, "I shut that off. I do what you want. I'm there
yeah,
for you." You know, and I was
yeah,
like,
totally.
really healthy way to approach this. You know,
I mean, it's helpful when people are like, it's really nice with fucking Woods and Illicit. It's like, I do something, they're like, chill. They're like, sick. Like, they're just like, they're like, great, love it. Like, I'm like, any other feedback? Like, do you want it to be less harmonies, more harmony? Like, sometimes I'm like, you guys can give me a little more, but it is nice to have people who are just like, I fuck with this. Yes. Like, down with your feature. And that is a great feeling, because then I just get to be this fucking weirdo. Like, I am like singing things that like you're not gonna, I mean, not to be like, oh, you know, I'm amazing, I'm not saying that, but I am literally singing things you're probably not gonna hear on a lot of hip-hop songs.
right.
And like melodies, you know what I mean, or like the ways I move my voice. It's like, it's not a super typical thing to hear on a hip-hop track.
Sure.
So I do just want to make it as interesting and supportive as possible for them. You know, it's like, what's going to make people want to come back to this song again and again, you know?
Right. No, it was, it takes a while to listen to understand how important the voices are, the changes of voices. Like you listen to P-Funk and then you're like, oh, wow, these background singers are incredible. Like,
Yeah.
And the songs don't really work without, because it's just a lot to take in. You need that voice. So, and Small Bills needed you and Kiana to kind of.
Kiana's amazing. Yeah. I feel like Elucid and Kiana are doing something else. I don't want to start rumors, but I feel like they're maybe doing another project together. But also Wolf Weston, who's on, and I'm like, of course, I don't know the name of the song, but she's on a bunch of More Mother songs now too.
Right.
Should work with More Mother. She's incredible, and her project's amazing. Saint Nella.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely check that out. Like, what an amazing person, what an amazing talent. She's like my main, like when it comes to like supporting each other as women in the music industry, she's like my homie. Like, we are like, I got your back, you got my back. Like, when you're feeling down, I'm feeling up. When you're feeling up, I'm feeling down. Like, we're just back and forth. Like, we're just holding each other up. So yeah, she's incredible though. Like, such a talent.
That's awesome. Yeah. And have you been feeling any kind of like critical feedback from critics? Do you read reviews? Do you worry about things like that?
I don't read reviews. I don't
like what my pitchfork
is like if it's a positive review that's like somebody's really excited for me to see it, I'll definitely read it, like, because clearly that person like was like, I did this and I was excited to share. But as far as like, if I were to ever be a chosen one to get a pitchfork review, I don't think I would read it. I think I would just be like, don't even show it to me, don't tell me what the number is. Like, I don't even want to know, because I don't know, like, it's a rare moment when you read a review and you're like, damn, this person really like fucking captured.
Yep.
Or like their take on this album is so fascinating. Like, every once in a while I like read a review and I'm like, wow, what a kind, like, I feel like Ginger Slim wrote the review for Demisexual Lovelace in The Wire.
Yeah.
I'm like, and that review was I was like, wow, what a thoughtful fucking review. Like, just really, really kind, and like really somebody really somebody really like took the time to like sit with it and like and take it in. And I could be like really wrong about where that review is. I'm pretty sure it's in The Wire, but yeah, I have to separate myself from press.
It makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I remember this way before I started the site. and I went to like Brother Ali was doing like a signing at a local store, and I went up to him and I talked to him about his Pitchfork review. I was like, they totally missed what this song was about. Like he had written a song, I think it was called House Keys, where it was the perspective of a woman living next to an apartment where like violence was happening, right? And he told the story from there, and they totally misunderstood what was going on and ripped it and ripped the song and the review. I talked about it, I'm like, how is that for you? Like he was like, it's the worst part of the job. Like
It is, yeah.
that's hard. But
The reviews, all the press shit. Like as soon as I finish an album, that's when I'm just like, fuck. Like this is when like you have to start sending it to people. People are they just ignore your emails. Like, oh, that is the worst. My favorite part of the job is performing live. Well, I always will be. That is my calling. I am a performer. Um, yeah, my least favorite part is anything to do with press, anything to do with self-promotion, anything to do with having to book my own shows, like all that stuff. It's fucking hard. And that's when I step into that headspace of where I'm like, is it this that they don't like about me? Is it this that they don't like me? Like I just start to tear myself apart because I'm like, I'm like, no, I just can't participate in this. Like, and luckily Woods is like has taken the reins. I'm doing press and stuff, so like, I'm not really sending those emails out anymore, which is it's nice. Like, you know,
yeah, it's awesome. No, it honestly, it's one of the reasons because you were saying earlier that you kind of got in this. You were just listening to music that really inspired you, and you reach out to people. I would listen to music and it would help me write what I was writing, poem, novel, whatever, right? And then I would really get like a deep affection for the album, look up the review. I thought the review kind of sucked. And I'd be like, man. And so I started writing my own kind of thing, do my own thing. That's really how this started.
yeah, yeah, totally. I think it's also like I'm not to shit on people who write reviews at all. I know their jobs are hard and like it is a challenge and they're probably overwhelmed with submissions and but I think it's like sometimes I do read reviews and I'm like, you don't know what it's like to make music. Like, as a musician, I listen to this album and it feels a different way because I'm approaching it from a standpoint of somebody who has made an album,
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. I'm just not, maybe not as critical or not, I'm just like, yeah, artists, we're all gonna like try and fail and who the fuck knows.
Right.
And then there's that pressure. I've never felt this, but I think the pressure to like when you release something that is really popularized and like has done really well and gets all the right reviews and gets like a 8.0 on Pitchfork, it's like, okay, now how do you keep that up? Like,
Right.
do you make something that sounds similar? Do you like change gears and give them something surprising? I mean, I can't even imagine that pressure.
Because the poor, I don't know why I think about this, but the poor band, the Kooks, this British band, just a bunch of young British rascals making fun garage rock, and like they got like a best new music their first album, and then Pitchfork shredded their second album as like immature, and I'm like, it's the same group of kids, dude. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough. I've seen friends be in that position. I've
Oh,
seen friends like get
yep,
blast off on their first album. And then if there's just this like, holy shit, what do we do next? Like, and then it either goes like maybe it's not quite, they don't keep it's there. There's only so high you can get, right?
right.
Or they don't make anything else. They just stop. And it's like, and they're done.
Yep.
And it's like, I think that pressure can really fuck with you. Like if you pay too much attention to the media, reciprocation of it.
Yep. No, it's yeah, it's a weird position to be in, but like, and that's one of the things that got me so excited for Young Medusa was this sounds like nothing like Lovelace, right? And I was so happy because like she's got these other dimensions to explore.
Oh yeah.
We're not going to be trapped in a zone where we keep getting the album we like over and over again at diminishing returns. So
Never. Unfortunately, I think some people are like, God damn it, I wish you just sounded like you used to. And I'm like, I definitely get those emails, and I'm like, sorry, bro, it's never gonna happen. Like, I am not in that place in my life. I don't even understand artists who can make the same shit over and over again. I'm like, who are you? Like, what does your brain look like? Like, it blows my mind, you know?
yeah, my theory has always been, and I found this in like really old stuff that I had written, but like this theory is that people want 30% of what they asked for, right? They don't actually want what they asked for. They want that 30% chunk to be there, and then they want to be surprised, right? For the rest of the 70%.
I'll keep that in mind next album.
They want to recognize you, and they're like, oh, okay, and then be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I give them. I give them my weird harmonies, and I give them the weird songwriting. And besides that, who knows where we're going?
Everything's gonna switch up.
Strap in.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For being here. I appreciate the journey you've been on. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you wanting to talk. Honestly, I never get to do interviews, so it's really fun.
Definitely. Hit me. Yeah. Whenever anything's coming up, we'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Have a good